Hello, everyone. Welcome to Small Biz Tips. So, about, wow, 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to connect with this gentleman here. I was so amazed by what he was doing in his industry that we built a really good relationship, and I can't wait for him to share what he's got going on now. Boris, what's going on, man?
Hey, Gilbert. Hey, it's good to see you. And
Likewise.
yeah, quite a number of things going on. I'm happy to thank you for the invitation, and really happy to tell a little bit of my story and let you know what's going on in my corner of the industry, which is fine and specialty chemicals. So I'm coming at you from a different space, but hey, let's get into it.
Yeah, definitely. So to kind of get the ball rolling, who is Boris?
Boy, that's a very mysterious question. Boris today
Mhm.
is a consultant to the fine and specialty chemicals industry. I've been doing this. This is my second year. I'm just finishing my second year, and
Congrats.
I spent about 40 years, I would say combined, almost 40 years in the chemical industry. So
Wow.
and about half of that was in a technical capacity, and the second half in a commercial capacity, very typical. Worked for some large multinationals, Degussa, which became Evonik in later years, AkzoNobel I spent some time at.
Okay.
I was also at a smaller German fine chemical manufacturer, CABB Chemical.
Mhm.
So interesting assortment of experiences. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised,
Let's go.
and fairly loyal. Let's see, Rangers, Knicks, Mets.
Okay.
Pretty good in MLS soccer too, if you want to get into that. But I think that gives you that's me.
That's fantastic. So, the chemical industry is, to me, mysterious to a lot of people, right? It's that little corner industry that's doing amazing things, but not a lot of people know or even understand what comes from the chemical industry. Can you kind of like educate our audience for business owners, consultants, or even thinking about starting their own business, a little bit about that chemical industry, like some of the work you've done in the past, how does those work impact our current world?
Right, right. I mean, chemicals as a whole is very diverse. I would say it
Mhm.
probably touches every part of living. In some cases, it has a negative connotation, and others it has a very positive, optimistic connotation. Um, I spent most of my time in fine chemicals, which was a later part of my career, and specialty chemicals. And
Mhm.
fine chemicals are a little bit more precise. We're talking about individual molecules that are manufactured to very tight specifications,
Yeah.
and are usually part of some larger formulation or some larger synthesis. I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
I ran a business for years that manufactured an intermediate called a dianhydride, and this humble little molecule is in your smartphone and your tablets and your computers. So
Whoa. Wait a second.
whatever
So,
fraction of a gram is in there, it helps it helps these machines run. So I felt it played a
wow,
really pivotal part in that industry.
that's amazing.
And
I've never known that.
yeah, it's nice. So when you have it, otherwise you're making some liquid in a drum and it doesn't really benefit anybody, you know. But these had very specific uses.
Hmm.
I would call the other side of that industry, I would call specialty chemicals. And in that
Okay.
regard, you're talking about things that perform certain functions, um, and they may be in certain formulations, a little bit more
Hmm.
downstream. So, a current example, I'm working with a client that makes products that go into the upcycling of waste plastics. So, this
Huh.
would be an additive that you would use in order to improve the value and create some circularity of the plastics supply chain. So, very
Wow.
functional use. Um, there are many other examples
Yeah.
and applications within the chemical industry, but those are the ones that I have the most familiarity with, and hope that touches uh,
Nah, that
someone in terms of
wow.
identifying what it's about. Yep.
No, that's super valuable because, you know, like you mentioned, a lot of people just see those little liquid in a bottle and they don't know how that liquid can be used. So tell us more about what's that supply chain look like, right? From being in the lab when they develop those molecules and chemicals to actually having it in a smartphone. Like, what does it go through to get to that level?
Yeah, that's a long route, and it's important to understand the full supply chain so that you can be an effective, commercial manager, let's say, which is something that I
Yeah.
do. And it's important that everyone who has roles within those areas all understands what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just in the laboratory synthesizing a molecule without any guidance in terms of, well, this is why, this is how, this is the
Mm-hmm.
importance, this is the importance this product plays, this is the contribution you're making, then it's kind of lost. You're just kind of walled off in
Yeah.
a so everyone needs to understand their role going through. So it may be people in the lab who are doing the original development. Then there are the people that need to scale it,
Okay.
scale the process. Okay, now you have a product. How do you actually make it at scale? So now we're talking about uh, chemists and engineers that work in a pilot plant or a semi-works facility.
Okay.
And they're the ones that are actually designing the process by which these products, these chemicals would be made. Um,
Mm.
Once that is done, then the process refined, the engineering complete. There are many design engineers that have to get involved in terms of what are the equipment, what are the
Yeah.
assets necessary to make the. So now you go into the commercial unit and you're manufacturing. So you've got stewards there, you've got process engineers, you've got chemical operators who really need to understand.
Wow.
Um, and then the product goes out the door. It's going to your customer, and then that customer may serve a series of customers down the supply chain. Someone makes a polymer. Someone makes a film. Someone makes a circuit out of that film. Someone
That's
takes that circuit and integrates it into a design. And then at the end of the day, you're holding it in your hand. So I think for me, over the years, what I learned, the most important thing was good communication all the way up
mm.
and down, so that from the people that you're responsible for, everybody understands that they're playing
Yeah.
a vital role in the supply chain.
Uh, it's amazing how complex and lengthy the supply chain is from the origination of the molecule to actually creating the product, distributing the product, selling the product, and then now packaging and resell it to the end users. Right now.
And there's a lot of people involved. You go to your local shop and I'm going to trade in my phone. Now at least maybe a smidgen of understanding. Hey, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in order to put that phone in your hand,
Yeah.
and so that it operates reliably and continuously, so that your Instagram posts and your text message goes through. It doesn't take much just to make those things malfunction. So it's collaborative effort.
Hmm.
It's everyone understanding their roles, and it's operational excellence too. You have to manufacture at a very high level for everything to work very well.
That's amazing. Now, with that said, tell us more about your role, right? Because you worked for some of these massive manufacturing company, and now you're a consultant. Tell us about what does that, as a consultant, what does that look like when you're working with like a chemical company or like some form of specialty chemical company? Like, what exactly do you do? How do you help them? And what's the end result look like?
Sure. Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time with some large multinationals, even some smaller companies. Um,
Hmm.
and actually, my career was going pretty well. I could have retired at the last company I was at. I think I was doing a reasonably good job there. But then just kind of it was an awakening. It was a reckoning, and
Mm,
I was not pressured by, let's say, gently coerced by some friends and colleagues that I knew, and I had a couple of things going on personally in terms of family situation, and then we had the great whatever it was of the pandemic times,
hmm.
the realignment, the resignation, whatever it was called. Uh,
Yeah.
I sat and thought for quite a bit in terms of maybe I should start this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now wasn't soon enough. It was time. and so I walked away from what I had and I started this. So I'm in business for myself, and
Congrats.
I'm drawing upon what it is I've learned through almost 40 years of industry experience. So what are the main things I can deliver? And I like to work with, even having that experience, you know, I'm not the corporate guy, you know, I like to relate and work with smaller companies, mid-sized companies, let's say anything from, you know, 10 employees, 100 employees. This is what I like the most because I can help. So where I'm coming from is commercial experience in terms of sales, marketing,
Okay.
business development, you know, which rocks to look under and which trees to shake.
Yeah.
And some overall business architecture. You know, there are cases where I may work with the client and their business isn't really operating at a proper just capacity and operational excellence. So, you know, I can work with those companies and help them identify, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? More in an advisory capacity. So what I do the most, how I can help customers the most, what I find, what the need is. And I think this was also part of some of your previous podcasts, which I did listen to.
Thank you.
It's, you know, there's complacency, and there is people are loaded up with too much work, and they don't have time to devote to certain projects, or their businesses are starting to unravel and they don't have time to really fix what's wrong.
Gotcha.
So what I'm coming across now very often is businesses that aren't doing bad, but they really want to increase they want new customers, and they want to understand how to get new customers, where to go to find them. Does that mean going into new markets or applications in order to find them? That's very popular. Another one is just with all of the busyness and extra work that people are doing, it kind of takes them away from the original premise, which is, I'm going to call it the customer experience, right? I mean, you know, your customers are the most valuable part of what you do, and you need to understand them. You need to really relate to them and improve the way in which you serve them. And that may be some old school, but okay, label me as such, because the old school stuff works.
It still works.
Absolutely. So relating to customers on a personal level, listening to them rather than pushing what you have, you know, you can't be a snake oil salesman. You have to understand what they have and what they're looking for, and then respond to that. So I'm encountering quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
And I'm also seeing where companies are, let's say they're manufacturing a product and things are going fine, but they're not thinking about contingency. What if something goes wrong? You talked about supply chain before. So what if a vendor drops out? What if somebody's down? What if, for whatever reason, do you have enough vendors in your supply chain?
Wow.
Is your supply chain too heavily dependent upon
one
certain
vendor
suppliers? Are you taking advantage of the China plus one strategy that's very hot right now? And can you build your contingency to a more robust level? All of these things are what I'm currently encountering, and I think these are areas which I can really help.
Now, let me ask you this. You said something here. You said the Charter plus one strategy. What is that exactly?
There has been, from a sourcing standpoint, a lot of kind of reflection and risk management, and just kind of changing of current and past business practices. So years ago, there was a very strong push. All chemical manufacturers did a very strong push into the Asian market, Asian vendors, suppliers. Let's go for a low-cost solution. A lot of people succeeded, but a vast majority got burnt. So they came back, and now came back to their old vendors, and now are looking at, oh, we need to improve and make our supply chains a bit more robust. So
Gotcha.
from whom we source. So there may have been a reliance upon certain Asian countries. Now it's, how about an Indian manufacturer? How about an American manufacturer at a
Mm,
cost position? How about someone out of Eastern Europe?
yeah, so they're forced to diversify.
And it's in their best interest to diversify because they were beholden to one or two vendors, and now maybe they have two or three, and they're coming from diverse locations.
Yeah.
So it helps their cost position, reduces their risk, and makes their operations a little bit stronger. So from China, the reliance was always, hey, let's look to China, and now it's
Mhm.
+1. So, but who's the +1? I blogged.
Gotcha.
Who's the +1? Where are we looking?
Okay. No, this is good. I like that a lot because it makes, especially if you're the manufacturer, think outside the box on, what's that other country where we can find another vendor that we can source our products to. I'm
Yeah.
curious, you mentioned something about you helping with business development. Like what does that look like for a chemical manufacturing company? Like how does that work, right? Like, is it you going out and find other companies that can use that product, or you just diving into your database since you've been doing this for 40 years? How does that look like for you, and what are some of the lessons you've been learning as a consultant the past 2 years from doing that?
Wow. Yeah. Well, the answer is yes, Jobin. But it's a real combination. I mean, certainly I can bring some value with my years of experience in terms of networking and so on. People that I know I can draw upon. That's one thing that's kind of expected of you. But the process by which you look for new customers and you engage with them, they may be initially leads that you find on your own, maybe through a trade show, networking,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, and then to qualify them and then to turn them into opportunities that can be measured with some value, and then
Mm,
maybe you're sampling or you're working on trials, and at some
mhm.
point you're going to gain a qualification and approval for your product, then entering the negotiating stage in terms of the pricing, the supply agreement, and so on, and then at the end of the day closing the deal and getting a purchase order and then getting some sustainable business from them.
Yeah.
Yes, there are many people that do that. I'm not professing to be a guru at it, but because I've been involved in business development over the course of my career, I've got a certain skill that I can apply towards that. I've also got a lot of patience because while business development is kind of a lost art, it also involves, let's face it, a lot of failure because you are, even as a younger person, you're excited. Hey, I'm going to engage these customers. I'm going to talk to this
Yeah.
person at the trade show, and then nothing happens, and you get upset. You have to have kind of a hardened disposition and understand that your success rate is going to be low, but it doesn't matter because if you get one or two, you've won. So a certain disposition towards the process is needed. Otherwise,
Mm,
you just feel inadequate that you really can't get it done.
I
You
feel
need to
you.
know where to look.
Yeah.
You need to know which people to talk to. You need to speak to them in a certain way that is non-threatening. You need to offer a solution. You cannot come in with, "Oh, would you like to buy this?" It's over. But if you engage a company, you ask them what they're working on, and you identify a potential problem and a solution, then you have to be a solution provider. You just can't.
Yeah.
Your inbox in the morning, it's full, and you're delete, 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 delete. You're not going to talk to these people.
Exactly.
There has to be something in it. So I've got to provide value as part of the search process, and that takes time,
Yeah.
and that takes patience.
Well,
So these are some of the things that people may not have. Hey, look, I need to build my business out, and I'm looking to secure. I need new customers, and maybe I need to move into new markets. This is a time-consuming effort. So to to delegate this out to a consultant or even a fractional executive to take care of on your behalf, is a very sound way of doing things.
I love it. I love it. Now, I'm curious, right? In the chemical industry, specifically in the B2B manufacturing space that you're in, what does that sales cycle normally look like? Is it 6 months, 9 months, 2 years, to get one of these deals across the finish line?
If you're, and I did not mention, very basic commodity type chemicals that are sold, dependent upon market conditions, and that's not my forte. I'm working on things that have a little bit higher value, higher cost, a little bit more difficult to qualify and sell. So those sales cycles tend to be quite long, and once again require patience. So while you may not have some immediate result, the one thing certainly that you can do is you can build a pipeline of valuable opportunity, and work your hardest to close them. The expectation always is that, I'll pick up Borys, and in 6 months I got triple my bit. No, but if you can demonstrate that you've got things that are now sizably and significantly better for the company, and you're willing to build in the work and the effort towards that, then you will get that. You will get those qualifications, you will get those approvals, but they take time. And the experience that I have gained over these last 2 years is that there are quite a number of overseas companies that are very interested in entering the US market. Things have almost gone the other way around. And they want to enter because they have products and services that they feel fit the market. But there's really just a certain lack of understanding in terms of, hey, this takes time. People don't know you. Some intermediary to facilitate this. But it takes time and it takes patience. But if you're willing to do that, and if you're working with the right team, then certainly you will be successful. But that being said, there are many people that just simply spin their wheels and, hey, how come nothing's working? It's because you're not devoting yourself full time to the effort.
Wow, I love it. So to kind of wrap things up, because we're definitely gonna have to come back for a second round. What is that one small biz tips you can share with any consultant that's listening in? Because you've been in the consultant space for like 2 years now. You had a lot of lessons that you've learned. What is that one small tip that you could share with any of them that can benefit them?
Well, the one thing, if you are thinking about becoming a consultant and serving the industry in which you're from, a lot of planning is required. You shouldn't do it on a lark. You need to write. You may have been accustomed to writing business plans as a commercial manager in the industry. Guess what? Now you're writing your own business plan for your business. Employees equal one, and you're writing it for yourself. So that's important to do first. I would say that's, in terms of a key tidbit, write that business plan, write it again and write it again until it's something that makes sense to you, and not just, I made 6 PowerPoints, now I'm finished. No, do something of meaning. And once that is done, then you have to figure out what's my fee structure. What do I charge? That takes some time to develop. Don't be afraid. Don't start discounting right away. Be confident in what your personal value is to the customer, to your client. And then there are other things. I've heard these also from your other podcast guests, the importance of building a website and doing your promotions. You don't have to be incredibly invested in that, but you should have some funds towards that. Create your company, your logo, and then start your promotion. But you also need the patience that we spoke about before. And you also need to rely upon this network of people that you have built up all this time with, because they're your best resource. You and
Yeah.
I have known each other for years, and we're
Yeah.
still always talking about things that we can do together. Collaborations are key.
100%.
Don't be bashful about that. Always reach out to your network, and keep in mind that you will be collaborating and networking at a level that you've never have before. I find the amount of networking to be absolutely wild, but I enjoy it so much. It's an important part of being a consultant. So I hope there's something in there that means something to somebody wanting to get in.
100%. If someone want to get in touch with you, maybe they're running a small chemical company and they're like, you know what, I need to bring Borys on board. How do they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to my website, schafranassociates.com. It's SCHAFRAN. Schafran is my name. And everything that you need is there. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn too. I'm very active there with posts. And I would encourage you, even for a very simple, free, no obligation consultation, is to say, hey, what are you working on? Are you thinking about what are your ideas about maybe outsourcing some work or bringing in someone fractional? Would love to help you with your projects.
Fantastic. Borys, thank you again for jumping on. I appreciate you so much for sharing those gems around the chemical space. Guys, definitely check out Borys. He's the man. Have a good one.
Great pleasure. Thank you.